as we got a major story coming out of University of Tennessee. And there's a new thing. There's a new problem coming in with the NIL contract right now. And I want to get your thoughts on this one because there's a couple things to break down with this. So as of right now, we have, what's his name? Coming out of Tennessee, Nico Iamaleava. Wow. Try that one if you can. I tried it as best I can. I'm sure I butchered it, but Nico Iamaleava has skipped spring practice without coach's knowledge or permission over an NIL dispute. Nico is scheduled to make $2.4 million this year from the Tennessee Collective, but his agent is trying to renegotiate a deal to pay him $4 million. G-Mike, there's a lot of larger conversation with the NIL and what it all means. What's your thoughts on this one right here?
I think he's playing with fire, man. And I think a lot of players, a lot of athletes in college are playing with fire. Like, I'm all for the athletes getting their money, right?
Yep.
But it comes to a point that you have to say no and you have to be strict about stuff. So you're already getting $2.4 million to play in college. And it's every right because the NCAA does make millions of dollars off of these athletes, especially football players. Football players bring in the most money for the colleges, for the universities, for the very well-known reasons. College football is just fun to watch. A lot of fans love it. A lot of young fans love it. And even a lot of old fans love it. With that being said, though, like you have to know where to stop. You can't be taking someone's hand and then next thing you know, they're giving you the hand and you're taking the arm with it. Like they're not going to be very appreciative of that. You're showing that you're ungrateful. And I get it. You're trying to make a deal to make a little bit more money for yourself. But, dude, you're playing with fire. And when it comes to Tennessee side, if you don't like the way that this is being handled by Nico, yo, you guys got to show, you got to put your foot down and show a little bit of punishment. And, you know, if he wants to back down and not play and skip practice and hold out, you know what? Next man up, or we get someone in the transfer portal and look, now Nico's out the door and he's got to find to play somewhere else. And other colleges and other universities that are looking at this situation right now, they're going to be like, nah, this kid's a headache. Do we really want to pay him $4 million? Yes, he's a stud. Yeah, he's a baller. But I feel like he's not a team player because if he was a team player, maybe instead of being like, yo, let me get $4 million. No, you know what? I have $2.4 million. The rest of the $4 million, let's use that money to give it to other players on the team.
Yeah,
so
that's
I just feel like he's playing with fire.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to explain real quick because NIL still is relatively new to some people. So just as everybody's on the same page with what actually NIL is name, image, and likeness. What the idea behind the NIL was supposed to be was that players like, I'm just using because I'm a Gators fan, Tim Tebow jerseys, all that money went to UF. Tebow didn't see a dime of that money. Let's go all the way back to the Fab Four or Fab Five, in college basketball. Chris Webber was talking about in the past he would be seeing University of Michigan local shops selling his jersey while he's going hungry because he's not making any money off of that. So what the NIL was supposed to have done was that you're getting paid off of your name, image, and likeness. You had a college softball player that wanted to throw a pitching camp, a female girl college softball player wanted to throw a pitching camp in the summer. She could actually make money off of that, not the university. So that's where this whole thing started. Then it just became the wild, wild west, and everybody just started paying for play. And that's exactly what it was not designed to be. Now it's just in the forefront. Let's not act like we're being naive and act like this wasn't going on in the past. Now it's in the forefront that these guys are actually getting paid. It was always under the table. It was always, backdoor deals or whatever. So having said that, though, with this Nico thing, I agree with what you're saying because he's playing with fire in this situation, and it's going to set a precedent. And Tennessee really has to almost be the adult in the room and set this up for the rest of the colleges and the universities because if it only takes one. And once this starts happening, it's a trickle-down effect, in my opinion, that all these players are going to see, well, Tennessee didn't pay Nico, then I'm going to hold out. And what's to say that these guys aren't going to start doing that all the time? Just as a talking point here, so right now, these are the three highest paid NIL deals in college at the moment. We have Arch Manning as a projected to make 6.5 million. Cooper Flagg as at 4.8 million. What's his name? Carson Beck that just signed with Miami is around 4.3 million. And there's others that are making around $3 to $4 million. Nico, who was a standout star last year, took Tennessee to had a great season, is looking at that and be like, well, why am I not getting this? And Carson Beck didn't even finish out the college football playoffs. And, so it's always looking over the shoulder like, well, I'm resetting the market. The problem is that these guys, it's not like the NFL where they're like, these guys are freelance employees, if you will. They're not actual employees of a team anymore. So, and that's where I think the bigger conversation really comes in is that do they need to change the structure of how this is? Because who's to say you can't make trades then? Like, how about that aspect of the whole NIL deal? It's like, you know what? Well, fine. We'll give you Nico, but you're going to give us $2 million and we want your running back. Like that, you can't do that in college as of right now. But what's to stop that if the player's going to be able to hold out, the coaches are going to be able to screw that. I want to be able to have my advantage too.
Yeah, I mean, as a coach, you now with this being um, up in the public, now as a coach for another team, you got to be like, damn. Now we got to worry about the backup, and the backup's backup for every position now because just in case the starter wants to act like a diva and be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, I want some more money," like we got someone to replace him. And I like, I do want these players to get their money, man, but
Yeah.
it's just that you're already getting $2.4 million, bro. Like, I get it. There's other players in other teams or in other sports that are getting more money than you, but dude, just be grateful for what you have right now because then it comes down to, okay, we don't want to give you that money and you don't want to play for us. Okay, now we're going to put someone else in. And then look, either you're not going to play for another team or you're going to be a backup on this team and then be crying about it. And the next thing you know, later on down either the season after like 2, 3, 4 games, you're going to be like, yo, you know what, coach? Forget about what happened in the summer. I'm ready to play and this and that. And now the coach is like, damn, now you want to play. Now you want to be a team player, but we already had this guy, the backup, that he's only playing for 25 grand, and you're out here trying to play for 2.4 million
Yeah.
dollars or even more. Like,
So if you were Tennessee, are you cutting him? What do you do if you're Tennessee? Do you sit him down and just talk to him, be like, we can't do this, or do you cave and give him the money? Like, what do you do as Tennessee?
no, there's a step by step process. I think that you need to have. One, have a conversation with him. Two, have a conversation with him and his agent. Three, have a conversation with him, his agent, and his family. Because the family can always sit down with him and be like, "Yo, stop being dumm and
Sometimes
go
family,
out."
sometimes family is the problem though too.
Yeah, true, true. That's what I'm saying. So you sit down and you get the vibe.
Yeah.
You have those convos. You see where it leads to. Now we'll play both sides of it. If it goes in a negative route after having these convos, then yeah, I think it's time to sit him down or tell him, "Yo, transfer, and we're gonna get someone else in here." If you don't want to pay him, now if you do want to pay him, you want to keep him, but you don't want to pay him, you just got to bite the bullet on that and be like, yo, you know what? Like, we want him to play. We don't want to pay him though. Like, we're gonna have to make a hard decision here and be like, yo, it's either we tell him to transfer or we do give him the money. But if it does go the positive route after having those conversations, maybe put a little incentive in there.
Hmm.
Okay, what? How many games are there in a college football season? 11, 12,
12, I believe it
whatever.
is.
We get to game 8. If we're on a record of, because when it comes to college football, if you lose one game, it's like getting your ass kicked out of the college football playoff.
Except if
So
you're Alabama.
yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're the top teams when it comes to
Just
that. But let's say you go to game 8 and you're undefeated, you give them a little incentive. Okay, we're undefeated at this point. Okay, you know what? We'll give you $1 million at this point. You know,
yeah.
maybe do it like that. But again, like, for the players out there that are just trying to get more money and holding out, I don't think it's a good idea. If you're trying to get more money and you're still going out there being a leader and showing that you're the first guy out there practicing, you're the last guy to leave, and you're watching film and you're encouraging everybody and this and that, and you're showing it with your leadership and your play on the field and all this stuff, and you still want to get more money, yeah, keep fighting for your money and see if it happens. If it doesn't happen, bro, yo, that's life, man. Life is not fair. You can't always get what you want. You maybe in the next level, you get to the pro. Maybe you do get it.
Yeah, Nico is definitely one of the top college quarterbacks in NCAA for sure. The difference, I think, that he doesn't really necessarily have a leg to stand on is that comparing yourself to Arch Manning, you're never going to win that conversation. You're with
Of
the
course not.
the Mannings. He's going to make more money than you just because of off of that and what the talent aspect could be. He's also going to University of Texas, which they have the NIL or the collective they have out in Texas is just off the chain. The difference is with the other ones. Let's go Carson Beck. Why'd Carson Beck make more money? Carson Beck has a ring. Carson Beck has been to the national championship. Carson Beck played in the national championship. Cooper Flagg was just the AP player of the year. Nico is just Nico at this point. There's no other things you say afterwards besides the fact that he's pretty good. So you can't compare yourself to these guys and expect to get paid the same whenever they can actually add something else to their initials and their name. So
Real,
I
real
think that,
quick.
yeah.
I'm from Miami. I know how it is down there. They throw money at every athlete. They don't care. So with Beck, that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, he got where the getting was good. You know, they believe they have a good quarterback in that one. They came off a promising season last year. Cam Ward's obviously leaving, so why not go after him? And they Georgia decided to pretty much move on. It was a little bit to do with NIL, but having said that, if they're going to pay more, they have no problems with it. Then go get your money. That's fine, but don't agree to something and then sit out and try to renegotiate because somebody else made a better deal than you did.
Exactly.
Get better representation, possibly.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing I was gonna bring up too, just to end it on this. The agent. Maybe it's your agent's fault on why before you only had $2.4 million and now you want to bump it up to 4. Well, he should have gotten you that deal before. Maybe your
Yeah,
agent is the one that you need to switch up.
yeah, exactly. That's a different aspect to go with it.